Hey everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh! Chat channel, and today for you guys, I'm going to be profiling for you my Spirit deck. Now, Spirits are a deck that I recently started playing after watching some other people play the Spirit deck and talking about it, and I said to myself, this is an interesting deck. So around, I guess you could say, late January, early February of this year, I started playing with the deck, and eventually I made the Spirit deck my own personal build, but it's such a fun deck to play, I have to admit. It's probably one of the most funnest decks that I've played in the last couple of months. I guess you could say probably the last year and a half of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I've played. This is one of the most funnest decks to play. And another good thing about Spirits is they're good, they're consistent, they're fun, and on top of all that, besides the extra deck, so the extra deck cards, which I use for a multitude of different decks, but besides the extra deck, this deck is very, very cheap. In total, the main deck itself, with all my things, including the card sleeves and all that, at the end of the day, the deck cost me no more than $25, including card sleeves and all that. But that's not including the extra deck. But it's a very fun deck to play, and I hope you guys enjoy this deck. And either way, I would suggest to any player or any person watching this video to try a Spirit deck out. It's fun, it's cool, and it can actually be a very good deck and beat some very other good decks that you wouldn't think it could beat. I've given Mermails a run for their money. I've given Dragoonides, excuse me, not Dragoonides, Heraldic Dragons, E-Dragon type builds a run for their money, and you can win those matches. It's just a very good deck overall. I'm singing its praises right now, but it's a very fun deck to play. But without further ado, guys, I'll get started on my Spirit deck profile, and I'll explain all my card choices as I go along. So, guys, first off, we have 3 Aratama. This is one of the newer spirits that Konami has added to the Spirit archetype. Aratama is a Dark Fiend level 4, and he's pretty much a Stratos for the deck. And also, you have to also keep in mind when playing spirits that you don't always have to normal summon. So say you're going first turn or something like that, and you don't want your Aratama to bounce back. So you can put Aratama down face down, and then if your opponent attacks, you're going to get the effect off. So you can search another spirit type monster. Even if they run over Aratama, you're still going to get the search because they, I guess you could say in the way they have a flip effect, but they can be normal summoned to get the effect as well. But at the end of your opponent's turn, after they attack this card, if it still lived, after you get the effect off, you're going to have to bounce it back to your hand. So you always got to keep in mind that you're going to have big hands when you play spirits. You're always going to have cards in your hand, pretty much, about 6-7 cards in your hand, maximum all the time. And another new spirit that they've added to the archetype is Nikitama. Nikitama is kind of in the way the other brother of Aratama. They're like brothers. One's a light, one's a dark, which is another reason why I added a Chaos type engine to the deck. I added a mini Chaos type engine as well as a rank 4 engine to the deck to make the deck be able to go into the rank 4 pool a lot more easier. But Nikitama works well with the Chaos engine because he's light. He's kind of like a double summon for the deck. If you normal summon Nikitama, and you can, when you normal summon Nikitama, you can have an additional normal summon that turn. And also, if you had a spirit still on the field, that when Nikitama is sent to the graveyard, so if you tribute, you know, say for you tribute Nikitama to get out like a dark spirit, you can draw 1 card at the end of the turn. So it comes in handy a lot. It gives the deck a mini draw engine as well. To also help out with the rank 4 and Chaos engine, we have 3 Kagetokage. You can special summon, say, an Aratama, get a search off, overlay into something else, do a whole bunch of different plays. This deck pluses a lot, by the way, if you're wondering. Next, we have 2 Photon Thrasher. Photon Thrasher is another light target, and plus it also helps out with the rank 4. Plus you can use, like I always use Photon Thrasher, is try to bait out some back row. I'll tack into something, you know, trying to get my opponent to use some back row up or something of that nature. But it's also used for ranking up to level 4 type monster, rank 4 exceeds it also helps out with. Then we have 2 Yaksha. I'm sorry if I am butchering these spirits' names. I cannot pronounce them. Yaksha is, I guess you could say in a way, is pretty much, it bounces back spells and traps. So when he's normal summoned, you can bounce back 1 spell or trap your opponent has set back to their hand, so they have to reset it though. But it comes in handy, and it helps. This is the main card I go into when I'm trying to make rank 4 exceed. So I'll go Yaksha, or Photon Thrasher Yaksha, or this, and then Kagetokage, something of that nature. It's a very useful spirit type monster though. Next, I run 2 Battle Fader. I run Battle Fader because you are going to take hits in this deck, especially because all your spirits are bouncing back to your hand. So you don't want to leave your opponent with the opportunity to OTK you. So you can use Battle Fader, and when they attack, you can go Battle Fader, and Battle Fader will stay on the field. And then you can sacrifice Tribute the Battle Fader to get like a Dust Dark Spirit out and blow up the field or something of that nature. It's a very useful card in this deck. Or you could use Creature Swap and just give him this card in attack position. After you've used it, that is. Next, I run 2 Tragoedia. Tragoedia is a beast in this deck. It's another dark target for your Chaos engine. But it's also, the cool thing about Tragoedia is usually, most of the time, when I summon Tragoedia from my hand, he's usually around 35, 36, 37, 38, somewhere's in there. He's always comes out above 3,000 attack whenever he gets summoned on the field, because you're always having monsters bounce back to your hand. He's very useful, plus you can use his effect to manipulate levels and exceed for level 4 type monsters as well. But he's usually out there for a big beat stick that can just run over everything. He's so useful. He's so good in this deck, believe me. One of the best times I've gotten him to ridiculous attacks sometimes. Next we have TG Striker. I just wanted to add one little tuner to the deck so I can tune up for synchro plays in the deck. So that's why I add TG Striker. Same reason why I have Photon Thrasher is because you're always going to either have an open field so you can special summon TG Striker, normal summon another monster, and make a quick synchro type play. It's very useful. 1 Izanami. Some people like playing 2 Izanami, but I only seem to need 1. I can recycle any monsters that got spirit type monsters that got destroyed, like Dust Dark Spirit, or Fenghuang, which I'll talk about later. But it's good. It's a recycling type card. You can recycle other spirits. Or other cards, that is, too. Rasetsu pretty much is a compulsory evacuation device. I guess you could say he's like a compulsory evacuation device, but you have to reveal 1 spirit type monster in your hand to bounce one of your opponent's monsters back. The downside to that, though, is you can't special summon that turn you activate that effect. So that's why you only won 1 of him, but he's very useful, and you can abuse him a lot. Next, I run 1 Fenghuang and 1 Dark Dust Spirit. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Please forgive me. But this card is so good right over here. This card is kind of like a Harpy's Feather Duster. When this card is normal summoned, on the summoning, you can destroy all your opponent's set, spell, and trap cards. Very useful. And Dust Dark Spirit over here, as you guys know from Monarchs and using him in Monarchs, he's very good. He can consistently blow up the field. I have sometimes in this deck gone Dust Dark Spirit 3 turns in a row, just blown up the field consistently in 3 turns. Very good card. These 2 cards are pretty much the 2 spirit boss monsters in the deck. One that destroys back row, and one that blows up all your opponent's monsters. Plus, you can use these cards with Nikitama to draw a card too, if they live at the end of the turn. For the Chaos engine, we have 1 Chaos Sorcerer and 1 BLS. 2 good monsters. These are pretty much your 2 boss monsters for your Chaos engine. Then for the spell cards, we have 3 Creature Swap. This card is so good. You can give your opponent a spirit monster, steal their monster. At the end of your turn, the spirit monster goes back to your hand. Also, Creature Swap goes in good combination with a card I'll talk about later, which is called the Legacy of Yata-Garasu. So this is what you can do with this play. It's a very good power play. When your opponent, you can activate Creature Swap, give your opponent a spirit monster, then activate Legacy of Yata-Garasu. Legacy of Yata-Garasu's second effect states that if your opponent has a spirit monster on their field, you can draw 2 cards. So you can steal a monster, draw 2 cards, And on top of that, that spirit monster that you gave your opponent is going to go back to your hand during the end phase. So it's a very useful combination. It's very powerful. You don't get an awful lot, but when you do, you usually win the game. But creature swap, you can just steal any type of monsters, and you always have to remember creature swap doesn't target. So you can steal your opponent's Bujin Yamato if you want to, which I've done before. It's really funny. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, just good back row hate. Especially if they try to Fiendish Chain your Death's Dark Spirit, you can negate it. 2 Pot of Dualities. You do special summon in this deck, but there are times when mid to late game you don't special summon as much because you're bouncing spirit monsters back and just poking your opponent to death. So you only run 2 Pot of Duality so you can thin through your deck. I like it. 1 Dark Hole and 1 Book of Moon, just 2 very good cards. Dark Hole in this deck most of the time really does act like Raigeki. For trap cards, 2 Legacy of Yata-Garasu. I was talking with one of my friends because I was like, well, I don't know if I should run Legacy of Yata-Garasu because you don't always get that creature swap Yata-Garasu playoff with creature swap. And he said to me, well, think of it this way. It's a +1 either way. You set this card, if they MST it, you're going to draw 1 card, no matter what. So you're always going to get a 1-for-1 at least out of this 1 card, with the possibility of always getting maybe a +1. So that's why I run 2 Legacy of Yata-Garasu. It's a mini draw engine for the deck as well. 2 Dimensional Prison. You can run 2 Mirror Force if you want to, or 2 Dimensional Prison. And for your other traps, 1 Bottomless, 1 Compulse, and 1 Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute works very well in this deck for the fact that you're not always going to have monsters on your side of the field. So if your opponent tries to spam the field to OTK you, you can flip up that Torrential Tribute and kill your opponent. Now on to the extra deck, guys. We won 101 Silent Arc Honor's Knight. This is pretty much the only expensive card that I have in the deck, but you don't need to run it. It's just there if you have it. But 101. 1 King of the Feral Imps. You can use this card first or second turn. Search out Kagetokages to make rank 4 monsters. Very useful card. 1 Fairy Chiyo Girl. Gives you an extra draw into the deck. You have a lot of fairies in this deck, so you can exceed for Fairy Chiyo Girl a lot. 1 number 50 Black Ship of Corn. 1 Maestro, the Symphony Daijin. 1 Photon Papilloperative or Pappy. 1 Utopia. Utopia just comes in handy as a beat stick. Also, you would take note that a lot of these cards are light and dark, so they synergize well with the Chaos engine of getting BLS and Chaos Sorcerer out. A lot of these cards are light and dark. 1 Gagaga Cowboy. Abyss Dweller. Steel Swarm Roach. Number 104 Masquerade, a very underrated card. And for the 2 Synchro monsters, we have 1 Gaia, the Force of Earth, and 1 Power Insectron. It just comes in handy so you can run your opponent's monsters out, because you don't really have a lot of beat sticks besides your Chaos Sorcerer and your BLS. So your Powered Insectron and Gaia, the Force of Earth, are there to have big monster presence on the field. So that is the deck, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this Spirit. So, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed my Spirit deck profile. It's a very fun deck, like I said earlier, and I would highly suggest that you try to build a Spirit deck and just play around with the deck. It's a very fun deck to play, even though if you don't try my build out, try your own build out, because it's just a very fun deck to play. And I have had a lot of enjoyment. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out playing my build. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Seto Kaiba, I'm out of here, guys.